Hello everyone, welcome to Given Chances Farm May YouTube Live. We've got a few things that have changed since our April Live, so we will kind of go into a little bit of detail on those, and then we'll be able to take some questions and we'll try to answer those as well. So. But let's see what all's changed, girls, since since April when we did this last. We got Sky, the milk goat, right?
Yeah.
So now we're milking Sky twice a day, so the girls get to get up and milk before they go to school, and then milk again before time to go to bed. So. And then while we were there picking up Sky, Brittany and I were introduced to a little Toggenburg buckling while we were there. So
that was not related to Sky.
That's not related to any of the does that we have. So Cadillac ended up riding home in Brittany's lap. So.
And I was initiated.
Yeah,
and then he peed on me.
He peed on her on the way home. So we're bottle feeding him multiple times a day to add that to our already busy schedule. So let's see. Today we were able to get the hay baled and put in the barn before we had to worry about any kind of raining. It was kind of an eventful time putting hay in the barn. It's the first time, the whole time we've lived here, 16 years we've lived here, that I had a close call in the hayloft today. I made a step back and found the edge of a bale as I was putting one up in the stack. And I was basically swinging my arms for anything I could grab a hold of, and I got lucky, and my feet landed under another bale. That's the only thing that kept me in the hayloft. Otherwise, I would have taken a header off the hayloft tonight. So,
right into the hay wagon.
Yeah, right onto the metal hay wagon. So.
Something else that's different is the meat chickens are outside.
Yeah, Brittany moved the Cornish cross meat birds outside yesterday. Yeah, yesterday while I was at work.
I finished putting the tarps over the big one, and we forgot to close a hole because we thought the tarp would end up covering the hole, but then the way I had to put the tarp and secure it at the bottom of it, it wasn't going to cover it very well, so I just had to put some more chicken wire on it and then put the tarp on.
Yep.
And then moved them out there. So we put 11 of them in one of the green A-frame chicken tractors that we've used last year, and then the rest of them went into a big, I think it's like 2 cattle panel with some wood on the bottom, wrapped in some chicken wire and some.
Yeah, we bought it used, so it's they just kind of put whatever they had handy, fencing material wise, to wrap the cattle panels. So
no, Caddy cannot nurse on Sky.
Sky does show interest in him, because we basically bottle feed him out in the aisleway right outside of her stall, and we make her come out and pass him on the way to the milking stand. So she does actually show interest in him. She will come out and groom him, but we're not sure if maybe that has to do with the fact that he is drinking her milk, just not directly from the tap. Basically, he is getting it secondhand through a bottle. But it is Sky's milk that we're feeding him.
It could also be she thinks it's hers because she
Yeah.
had 3 of them.
So, yeah. There would be a possibility that you could graft him to her, but on the other side of that, it might complicate things down the road when we want to use him to breed her. So that'd kind of be a little weird for her to think that all of this time that's her kid and then turn around and have to breed with it. It'd be a little weird.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So,
Let's see.
let's see what else is new.
If you've been watching our videos in the past, this past week we've been doing nothing but catching swarms.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, pretty much we've been trying to get other things accomplished around here. Still haven't got the garden in the ground yet. A couple times this week we had it planned to attempt to get started on it. And we'd get back there and happen to take a look back towards the beehives and notice a little something extra hanging on a fence post. So we ended up having to stop what we were doing, load up the truck, drive back there, and get a swarm, put it in a box, and get it taken care of. One day this week we even went back there. Brittany and I both were back there.
Checking on the 2
and
that I caught from the day before.
Noticed 2 more on 2 different fence posts. One was larger than the other one. We started boxing it up in a 10-frame box. I walked over to look at the other one, realized it barely would have been big enough for a 5-frame nuke. So I walked back to the truck, maybe 40, 50 feet away from where I was at, to grab some supplies, turned back around, and they were gone.
So we don't know if they combined with that other
Yeah.
swarm, or if by chance it was one of the queens that was from one of the swarm cells that we turned into a new hive, and she was out on her mating flight and just had to stop and take a break before she went back into her own box again,
Right.
or they just up and left.
Yeah. So, and then watch out for the video coming out later this week. We'll have some new arrivals coming this week. The Idaho pasture pig breeding pair
Yay!
that we had secured back before New Year's, I believe it was. We put the deposit down on it. I will be going to Wisconsin to pick those up Wednesday, which would be what, the 26th. I'll be driving to do that.
Yeah, Oak Blossom Farm is they say hello.
Hello. They're the ones from Texas, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, let's see, what else did we have?
Go
Oh,
tell 'em about
just
what
last
you said.
Saturday, we went to the farmer's market. Had a good day at farmer's market, and then come home. I noticed the cows were acting a little bit strange. We knew that Sunday was getting close to calving, so I sent the girls out real quick to check while I was backing the truck up to unload everything from the farmer's market. They run out there real quick and checked, and sure enough, she was in the process of calving when they walked back there. The front hoofs and the nose was hanging out when they went through the gate. So she ended up having a heifer calf named Emily, and she weighed 63.8 pounds. So mom and baby are doing great. Mom got a little extra attention for the first few days. She got her treats out in the pasture by herself while the others come in the barn for it, but now she's back to coming in the barn with the rest of the group for their treats. And then even Emily has made the back door a few times, but I haven't. At least I haven't seen her come all the way through.
But Oak Blossom Farm says, I have so many questions, but first one I would like to do 4-H with my girls. So the question is, when do I need to start halter training my heifers, the American Aberdeens?
Okay, well, I would say, when does your 4-H program start? Because I know, or well, when is your 4-H show, I should say. Because our show is, what is it, second to third week of July, basically.
Yeah.
And then you have to look at what age range the kids are showing in, as to, because I know like around here they have mini 4-H for like your
kindergarten to
some places start at kindergarten through second grade. Ours actually starts first and second grade age range, and then you actually move to full 4-H in third grade. So that kind of changes the rules around here, at least, because for the mini side of it, and sometimes I've heard other states call it like the clovers, I think it is, for 4-H. So that's like their entry level.
the younger kids.
Yeah. And that determines whether or not you can show an animal during that time frame or not, depending
They
on your
said
state's
Their
area.
girls are 13, 12, and 9, so they would be
Okay,
minis.
so they'll all be out of the minis. I know in Indiana, the 4-H rules that we go by would be you could show an animal that was born, as far as cattle is concerned, they need to be born the year prior. And then they have to be logged into the system by, I think this year it was May 15th. But we always start our calves within that first, or at least attempt to. Last year with COVID, if you watched our videos, you'll notice that the two big steers that we're taking to 4-H this year, they were yearlings by the time I started halter breaking them. So it was a little bit more of a challenge, but
and that was a sad thing, though.
Yeah.
We thought that they were going to be the ones to give us more of the issue being older, and it turned out that the younger two gave us more of a fit than the older two.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess it's just the personality of the
Yeah.
calves. But, yeah, I would say go ahead and get a hold of your local 4-H office and see what you need to do there. Because I know every state is so different. I mean, even in our state, every county is so different. But, I mean... But then when it goes to the actual state fair side of it, if you're going to go to that, then you want to kind of try and more and less get a hold of your local to where they can help guide you if you wanted to go to that state, because you gotta actually follow those rules too.
Yeah.
So.
And as far as the showing side of it and the halter breaking, I would say you could never halter break too soon. You could start on that calf the day you get it, basically. Whether it's coming out of, if you're calving it there at the house or if you're purchasing it. You could start halter breaking on that day one. And not necessarily meaning putting a halter on it and trying to walk it or any of that stuff. I'm saying as far as you need to be able to touch that cow, that calf. If you can't touch it, you can't get a halter on it. And then the next big goal after you can get the halter on it and you can get it to move and you can actually get it to tie it up, those kind of things. That big number that you need to focus on for cattle is 120 days. So whatever that show date is, count back 120 days from that show date, and that will tell you the hair that you're working starting on that day is going to be the hair that will be there at show day. Because the life cycle of hair for a cow is about 120 days. Let's see. The other program that I would recommend getting involved with would be see if they have one in your area. Would be look up Sullivan Show Supplies and see if they have a Stock Show University clinic in your area. Those guys are a wealth of knowledge on how to prep your animal for show, as far as the clipping and trimming their hair and fitting them for the show day, to get the hair to lay right and all of that. And they show you from the time of prepping it to just doing nothing but using that shedding comb, because that's where it starts really. You want to bring them out of around here. We actually have a winter. I'm assuming down there in Texas you're not, other than this year I guess you guys had snow this past year around San Antonio and stuff, I know, but that was kind of wild to see on the news, that's for sure. But that shedding comb is huge for us around here. I mean, you basically start with that and just comb and comb and comb until you don't get any more patches of hair out, and then you once they start slicking out, then you can worry about using like your rice root brush and those other kind of combs with that. But I would say down in your area, being that you got more heat than we do for a longer period of time, getting those cows ready to be touched so you can start grooming them and rinsing them. If you can rinse them with cold water, that'll help the hair growth as well. What else you got?
Dolly asked, how did the bees do over the winter?
Over winter for the bees, we took 26 hives into winter this year. Ended up with 19 coming out of winter. We had 20, and one of those it lasted it didn't make it through the Apivar treatment.
It was like maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah, so.
Which we knew going in that it was probably on its last leg.
Yeah, it was kind of weak going into winter, going into winter. So, but we still tried what we could with that. So, but with all the swarms that we've been dealing with here lately, because we've picked up a total of 7 swarms so far, 6 of which was from our own hives, and
1 from the fire department.
And then that put us at what, 37 hives out there right now?
37 out there right now.
Yeah. So.
And some of them are from the ones that we split, and waiting to go back through, hoping that the cells have hatched and she's gone out on her mating flight and has flown back.
What was that? May 12th, I think it was.
May 11th and May 12th, I think.
Was when we were
split
through.
It up in 2 days.
We were through quite a few of them on, I think it was the 11th and the 12th of this month, that we made quite a few of the splits. So we got to get back out there tomorrow and double check all of those. That should give her time to get out on a mating flight and come back. So we will check those out, see where we're at in the progress. Because, I mean, even last year before winter, there was times that we were up to 37, 38, almost to 40 hives, including 5-frame nukes and everything. And then if we would have a problem with a queen, if they would try to replace her or something like that, or if she just stopped laying for some reason, whatever the case may be, if we had the problem with the hive that we needed to fix, we ended up just taking one of our 5-frame nukes and moving it into that colony and allowing them to continue that way. So.
Tay's got 2 things.
What do you got,
she
Taylor?
remembered.
So since last time we had the live, we got mine and Michaela's layer chickens, and then Katie went broody again.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Yep. So the girls got their blue coaching flock in, and then Katie decided she wanted to go broody again, so she had some eggs underneath her. So we're keeping an eye on that and see how she does. If that's what she wants to do, then we'll let it happen.
We may actually let her just go ahead. We'll stick her in another thing all by herself, and we'll just let her raise her chicks.
Yep.
We don't need to put them in the incubator. Katie's in our incubator now.
Right. And then when the ducks start laying, I'm going to try Katie out on a couple of those duck eggs if she'll go
probably
broody
do
about
it.
then.
She'll probably do it.
So tell them what chicks you and Michaela went in together to start trying to earn money off of.
So me and Michaela put her and my money together to buy
They're blue cochins.
blue cochins. I don't remember how many though.
You got 16 hens
And then
and 1 rooster.
But they sent us an extra
the
one.
rooster.
But
Yep.
we've lost a few since.
Right. And they were all together, so we're hoping that it's not the
I think we lost what, three or
roosters.
4.
Yeah, we ended up,
I think it's a total of 4 of theirs.
I think they've lost a total of 4.
Well, there's 2 black ones that are much darker than
Yeah.
the other cochins, which is the ones we think is the
Right.
boys. And we didn't lose any dark ones.
Right. So we'll see. But we were able to, we got those from Murray McMurray Hatchery as well. And they have a 48 hour
48 after you receive
after
the
you
birds.
receive them. So we contacted them and they give us credit for the ones that we lost, and we just move on with it.
And if
So
the
if that happens to be roosters, then later on we'll order another rooster for them. So
Or order more
but,
hens.
okay. What else
And
we
then
got over there?
Oak Blossom asks, should they wait for the calf to be weaned before they halter train them?
No, we don't wait for the calf to be weaned to halter train it. You can pull that calf into the barn away from mom, and at least ours. I can go out there. Well, we get a birth weight on ours, and if mom brings them in the barn, then I'll get a birth weight that way. But ours, we all let them birth in the pasture. So if I have to for a birth weight, I use a bathroom scale and a piece of plywood, and I walk out there. Alfalfa pellets will go a long way. Put a little bit of alfalfa pellets in a feed pan, set it down in front of mom, give her a little scratch on the side, and pick that baby up, get a weight on it, put it back down, and then baby knows day one that I can touch it and I won't hurt it. So, and we make sure all of our cows are that way too. I won't have one around here that's gonna give me problems and not let me touch it. So
And then
there's trouble with finding processors, but there ain't that much trouble finding one.
halter train every day or every other day?
With our halter training, we prefer to do it every day, but with my schedule,
In our hectic schedule
It doesn't-
nowadays.
it doesn't quite work that way for us. But in the beginning, I tried to do it at least 2 days back to back, basically, because the third day I have to go to work. But the more that, and this year was a first for us. Taylor and Michaela actually broke the 2 younger calves themselves. So you can actually see that during the video.
And it was very hard for Tony to
yeah.
not step in.
It is tough. I mean, you sit back and you do the things, and then they watched me while I was halter breaking, so they they paid attention a lot more than I thought they did. So they did a really good job doing it. But it's kind of difficult to find that fine line of allowing them to do things so that they learn. But as a parent, you still want to be that protector and make sure that they don't get hurt. So you don't want any extra chances there for them to get kicked. Because, I mean, they got in the stall with the 2 big steers and the 2
Little ones.
so 1 small steer and a heifer calf to throw halters on them, you know, and they're all in a 12 by 16 stall, all 4 of them walking around in there. But the biggest thing that I've seen is the more that you can be consistent with your routine with those cows, the better they understand it. If you give them a day off, one cow might pick right back up where you left off. The next one might be like starting from scratch again. So I would say try to do it as close to every day that you can, or at least, you know, 4 or 5 days in a week. I mean, you gotta have a little bit of consistency with it, but there's, you know, that's also not our only job that we have. We tried doing it a lot in January. If you notice, a lot of our videos in January hit cows pretty much every day for a while. Mostly just to get that taken care of at a time where we didn't have anything else going on. Pastures were muddy, so it wasn't like you were doing anything out there. It was a mixture between rain and snow and up and down temperatures. But I would say the more that you can be consistent with them, you can do it. And as far as the calves not being weaned yet, you can take that calf away for, you know, quite a while during the daytime and not affect it at all. It's still going to go out there and nurse on mom. I mean, they're not eating all the time while they're out there. They eat a little bit and then they go lay down and things like that, and they sleep a lot. I mean, it's kind of like a baby, you know. But you can, there's some work that you can be done, and you don't have to spend, you know, half the day with one. I mean, you basically, you set yourself some goals for the day. Like day 1, basically, once you get to the point where you can touch that calf, day 1 for us is just getting the halter on the cow. And then, you know, it standing still with the halter on. And then day 2, we worry about getting the halter on and actually moving with it. But day 1 is just to get that halter on there. But the more that you can touch those cows and the more that you can groom them, that bond, you'll never get it any better than that. Because, I mean, to this day, Michaela's first show calf is out there, and that cow can be at the other end of the pasture, and if she hears Michaela talking, she's looking. And then shortly later, she'll be over there trying to talk to Michaela. So it's a good experience for them.
2 questions from Dolly. Can you leave the halters on them all the time?
No, you don't want to leave
tied
the
off.
yeah, you don't want to leave the halters on them, and that is kind of a depends on who you talk to as far as what type of halter you're talking about. We use rope halters, so no, I don't leave it on there unless I'm actively working with them or they're tied up. And even if they're, because, you know, for 4-H you got to tie them up, so they need to be tied, and then with that you need to train them to where they use a neck rope also. That way you have a backup. If the halter tries to come loose, you've got them on a neck rope as well, as a backup plan.
And then her other question was, is there a limit on how many hives you can/should have on your farm, or does it make a difference?
As far as how many hives you should have or not, depends on who you talk to. Pretty much ask 10 beekeepers and you'll get 12 answers. So, from our side of it, raising livestock first before we got into beekeeping, I look at it from that standpoint of available forage. I don't look at it as you have X amount of property, you can support this number of bees, because it doesn't matter. You know, I can't say that any different between me living here in the country versus you living in the city, that, well, you can only have 2 hives, or, you know, you can only have 20 hives at your place, whatever. Well, no, because your bees are foraging on something different than mine are. So for us, where ours are located, there's quite a few fields around us. Last year happened to be soybeans. There's lots of woods around us. Right now they're doing a lot of honeysuckle. We've seen them all over the honeysuckle.
And the clover, the
and,
white clovers.
White clover everywhere too.
Is starting to
Bloom.
bloom.
You know, if they don't have something to feed on, then
Your limits have
you're
to be.
you're limited to what you can feed, and in that, it's just the same as it is with livestock. If livestock are grazing on grass out there, and the grass stops growing, you got 2 choices: start selling off some livestock or start feeding hay. The honeybees are out there in the box. If they're not pulling in some kind of food, then you got 2 choices: either sell off some bees or start feeding them. So, I mean, it's basically the same. And, you know, they have pests that come after them, so you have to decide, you know, what you're going to do to treat those. So it's not any different than, you know, to us in our situation, those bees are not any different than any other livestock we have on the property. We treat the bees as livestock just the same as we would the goats or the chickens or the cows.
Oak Blossoms asked, how long should I use a rope halter for training? I have seen they tend to damage the hair of the calves.
We have not had any damage the hair on the calves. We use a rope halter anytime that I need to work with that animal. You also need to use the show halter with the chain on it too, to get them, you know, once you progress through everything and you start setting them up, you'll switch them over so that they're used to the chain halter. But we use a rope halter basically their entire show life and even beyond that. I mean, I use it now when we pin them up. When the vet's here, we use a bud box system, but sometimes it's just as easy to, when they're in the pen, walk over there and halter them and then lead them into her. So there's plenty of different types of rope halters that you can use. There are, we actually like the breaking halters. So it has a metal ring on it that the rope slides through. That way when you're applying pressure to get them to move, it tightens up a little bit, but as soon as the cow moves forward, that metal ring allows it to slide a lot easier than a normal rope halter, so it relieves that pressure and tells them that, you know, basically, hey, they're wanting me to go this way. If I do that, that pressure relieves and I just continue going, and if I don't, that pressure comes back again. So that is also an option. We use them, we like them. Just remember that if you're going to go tie one up to feed it or groom it or anything like that, remember to switch to a regular rope halter. Don't leave the breaking one on there, because it will loosen up really easy, and
The calf will be out.
it'll be standing there looking at you
And then you
in
have,
a different position if you walk away for a second.
then you have calves nicknamed Houdini like we do.
Yeah. So,
And then he also asked,
how many days after the calf is born should I start halter training, and where can I get a training halter?
okay. Around here in our area, you can purchase them locally at like your feed. Some of the feed stores have them, but like we have Tractor Supply around here or Rural King. So like your Farm and Fleet stores will carry like a small line of like the Weaver halters. They'll do a bunch of rope halters. If you contact your local 4-H group, they'll be able to tell you what's local in your area that you can pick it up at. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I know there's a Farm and Fleet store. Trying to remember where it was at, because it's been a few years ago. We went down to Dallas, Fort Worth area for a convention, and while we were down there, we went to the Farm and Fleet store and actually bought some more halters for the girls while we were down there. But a lot of those type of places, anywhere that you can buy like show quality feed and things like that, wormers and stuff for cattle, they'll more than likely either have it or know who would be able to have it. But I know Weaver's catalog you can order online through them or Sullivan, either one. And anytime there is a cattle show in your area, especially even if it's just a one-day jackpot show, normally there's a Sullivan trailer, or in our area at least, there's a Sullivan trailer there. So there's times that, like at the farmer's market, there might be a cattle show, because we're at the 4-H grounds for our farmer's market, and there could be a cattle show or a goat show that day. So I'll walk over from the farmer's market to the show trailer and buy stuff. I mean, we just bought some more feed pans and some clipper blades the other day at one. So
She's gonna answer the next question.
okay. What's the next question?
how are the girls' gardens / strawberry plants doing?
Tell them to watch tomorrow's video and they'll find out. See, we just finished the video. I edited it and scheduled it for tomorrow at 6 in the morning.
But,
Oh, that'll give you the stackable planter.
Yeah.
well, and the
We didn't do
stackable
that,
planter
yeah.
has
Strawberries
strawberries
in
in
it,
it, but the strawberries
These
that were
aren't-
planted in the pool, the baby pool,
Yeah.
they haven't
Neither
started like greening up or anything like that.
Neither is the ones in mine. Stackable. Planner.
Yeah.
And then Michaela's beans aren't doing very well.
No, the green bean, it kind of started wilting when it went outside, didn't it?
Both of them is.
What else we got?
Says, will you be selling any vegetables, fruits, pumpkins at the market?
If we can get them planted, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Our plan was to do that and sell at the market as well. Let's see, with the weather going up and down and having snow just a couple of weeks ago, and now we've got 80-degree temperature, it kind of set us back. Because normally we always put the garden in the weekend of Mother's Day or the day or two after, and we still haven't got it done. So days are getting shorter than my list is, that's for sure. We were also had planned on having a greenhouse by now. We were dealing with the USDA for a EQIP program for the high tunnel. We talked to them, and within half hour or so from me emailing them, they responded right back to us and got us our application submitted, and then
Fail.
they kind of fell off I think they went swimming in the ocean or something, because they don't return phone calls, they don't return emails, they nothing anymore. So we basically decided to make that a wash, and we will look for a greenhouse on our own terms and find one that we can purchase outright, and then we don't have any rules that we have to follow as far as having to have it for so many years and only able to use it for certain types of
Plants.
growing, and not being able to have electricity to it or any of the other standards that they were talking about. So if I want to put a greenhouse out there and do some in-ground growing in it, or Brittany wants to drag a container underneath there because it's getting closer to fall and the temperatures are dropping, then that's what we're going to do with it. So right now we're in that kind of pre-planning stage. Brittany's been out there and she's staked out some areas that of different sizes that would fit in the area she wants it in. We have looked at a few that will fit our needs and are within reason of being in our price range. They're just on back order for about 5 to 6 weeks. So
I mean, you can go ahead and order them,
Yeah.
but
so we're trying to make sure before we actually pull the trigger on ordering it that we have exactly what we want. The other side of it that we've talked about is, do we purchase a greenhouse and go through all that it entails of getting it set up and everything, when we've already talked about the fact that we're outgrowing the property we're in now and need to move. So it may be something that we keep the idea around, but we know that that's what we need to do when we move to the next place. So
2 questions.
go for it.
Does halter training add value to the calf? B-Bird is asking.
For me, I think it does. But with all things livestock, it depends on the buyer, honestly. But for me, a animal that you can handle is more valuable than one that you can't. And to me, I don't care if it's a steer that I'm buying to raise for beef, or a heifer calf that I think is going to go to a show, or a cow calf pair, or anything like that. I mean, whatever you are as a buyer are going to do with it, that kind of sets up what you think it's worth. Because even as a breeder and someone that raises the animal to sell it, you know, you have to kind of focus on who your customer is and how you want to approach that transaction with them. Because, you know, right now we're raising bees to produce honey so that we can go to the farmer's market and kind of offset that cost. And honestly, we're using those honeybees to offset the cost of some of our other animals that we're bringing up right now. But, you know, if you go to an auction for our American Aberdeens, if I was in the stands to buy at that auction ring, if that gate gets opened on this side and they just run one through,
Depending
and
on
you
the
can
line.
tell how it's running through there, and it's not been handled very much, versus if one gets walked in there with a halter and set up. I'm probably, because of the girls are looking at showing, I'm going to be looking at the bloodlines and those kind of things, but I'm also going to be looking at
The cow's temperament. And
that one there's closer to being ready to go than the other one. you know, if they both had the same bloodline, I'd pick the one that's closer to ready to go and be willing to pay more for it because I know there was work involved in it. So
The second is Oak Blossom Farms. Ash should my girls halter train them or should them? Does it make a difference?
I did up until this year, I was the one that did all the halter breaking. But at some point, once you get them to where they're walking, the girls have to take over because ultimately those girls have to have the bond with it, or otherwise when they're in the show ring, that cow's not going to listen to them. They're going to be worried about where I'm at and what I wanted to do if I was the one that broke it. But you can always have them help even. So even when I was the one doing the breaking, once I got that to where I could walk that calf anywhere I wanted it to, the way I got them to transition to the girls was I would start walking it and then bring the girls over and they would get between me and the calf and we would start walking, and as we're walking around I would just slowly step out of the picture and allow the girls to continue walking, and the calf really didn't know much about the difference. And then, you know, one day basically you just go out there and it takes less and less time of me being with them until I'm out of the picture completely. But this year I let them do the work and it worked out just the same. And I think the heifer calf, at least Rosie, she kind of has more of a Eeyore status
Well, they're
at the beginning, and now she's got a,
the only one that can do anything with her is me.
yeah, then she kind of likes Brittany. She doesn't, when Taylor tries walking her, because of one time Taylor let her have her way when she threw her head, now she knows every time that Taylor comes over there, she's got her. So those are things too that, you know, when I was doing it, being bigger than the calf at the time,
More muscle.
I tried to make mistakes that I knew the girls would make to see how the calf would react. And I had enough mass to be able to stop that calf from pulling because I started at an early age. When we were closer to, you know, I was more than double their weight at the time. I liked having that advantage because they've got 4-wheel drive and I've only got 2-wheel drive, so. What else we got?
That's it so far.
Alright. So.
Oh, never mind. Says, when I walk the calf, should I be away from the mother in a close place, or I can walk them next to the mother outside the fence?
We bring ours inside the barn and close the door so they can't see each other when we do it, to start with. And once you have them to where the calf, because they'll bawl both ways. You'll hear mom mooing for the baby and the baby will be mooing for the mom. But we try to keep that distraction down as much as we can with a closed door at first. Once we get them to where we feel comfortable walking them, then we move them out front of our barn to where when they go to each side, the mom can be over in the pasture far enough each direction they can see around the barn, and they can kind of see each other when they walk, but not very close at all. I mean, they're over 90 feet away from each other at that point, so they still listen to you enough. And then once you have it to where they're completely listening, then we'll move towards bringing them to that, like that fence line time frame. So
It's gonna do it that again.
let me see if I can fix it.
Then you control
draw, do we? Last time. Oh,
There we go.
Sorry about that. The computer went to sleep on us.
have to
Stay awake, computer.
Okay.
mess with the mouse a little bit.
Okay.
We're back on mine.
But
now.
nothing else is.
Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of the way we do it. But once again, I mean, it
Just depends on if you have.
depends on your situation and how what you guys have available to you. If doing it out there in the pasture is what you have, or doing it on the other side of the fence, you have to make it work however works best for you guys. Like I said, the less distractions that calf has when it's initially learning, the better off the end result would be.
So they also ask, after you show your calf, do you sell them or keep them? Well, the girls can be sold,
Yeah.
or they can keep.
The girls, normally the girls are sold after they're shown, but the boys, it depends on how many of them we have at the time. We focus on filling our freezer first with the boys, and then we offer them for sale after that. So
Because technically, during our 4-H show, our calves are only like 500-600, well, not even 600 pounds yet. So they're not even at the age where we tend to take them to the processor.
no.
So we bring them back home to raise the rest of the way, and then we end up taking them to a processor.
Yeah, the heifer calves normally go right after. We don't sell them through 4-H, but we sell them after usually, unless we are going to Louisville that year with them, and then we'll wait till after Louisville to take them and sell them. But currently, all of the female calves
Except for 2.
that we have sold here or from here have went to the same family farm right around the corner from us. So they've bought a total of
Well,
5 from us,
What was it?
because they bought 1,
3 the last time?
1, and then 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they bought a total of 5. So 5 of our females have went to the same farm within
The past
10,
2
15 minutes of us.
Mhm.
So we'll get there.
That's it.
Okay.
So far, unless they type real fast again. By the time I turn
Yeah.
around.
So, yep. If there's any other questions, we'll get to them as soon as we can. Let's see, what else do we have going on, girls? School's almost out, so then you guys
Yay.
get to start working the calves again.
Boo. Well,
So,
I mean,
Oh, here we go. What percentage do you add in
in price.
price to a female calf that is halter trained? Does it depend on what award they win?
some people will take that into account. For me, I kind of have mixed emotions about that as far as promoting a cow by the awards that it's won. Partly because you have to see there's more about it than just it won a purple banner, to me.
Now, the ones
Because
that
of the
would go to multiple shows
Yeah.
and continuously win
Right.
consecutive.
Because for me, I would look at it as I want more information than just it went to a show and won a purple banner, because I would want to know,
How many-
was it the only one in its class? Because like right now, we've got we've got a couple purple banners. The girls have, and you know, it was for the junior show at Louisville, but they were the only one in the class. So yeah, you're gonna get a purple banner.
Well, except for Tay.
Whether it was but I'm
Tay,
saying
there was 2, so
grand champion or reserve champion. I mean, they both get a purple banner.
right.
So to me, yeah, I could very well go out and promote those calves and say that they won, you know, such and such award at Louisville, but you know, did you win it or did you just show up there and get it, kind of thing. I mean, yes, the girls were excited about getting the ribbon, and that's all part of it, I understand. And they put the work in to get there. But was the animal judged against other quality animals to show that it had better standings than that one or not? So, like I said, that's kind of a mixed emotion for me.
And then they ask, how often do you take the same calf for show? Does it depend on your 4-H program?
For us, the calf can only show
1 year.
During 4-H up to being a yearling, and that's it. For the commercial side, I'm not sure on the registered side because ours doesn't recognize our breed as a registered beef cattle, so we have to show in the commercial side. As far as other shows, so like Louisville, that show, you can show the calf for a couple of years, and then if it's a heifer or a cow that ends up having a calf, if you have showed the mom within 2 years, I believe it is,
Yeah, 2.
you can take her and the calf back and show as a cow-calf pair. So that is something to think about as well. And I know 4-H programs offer that class as well, but it just determines, you know, what breeds they accept and what ones they don't. So you'll have to look at that part of it.
Then they also said, thank you for answering all my questions. I really enjoy your channel and live chats.
Not a problem.
Thanks for your support.
I'm sure you can tell that I don't have a problem talking, so.
No, he likes to talk way more than I do.
Way too much.
So it comes with the line of work.
Him and
so.
Michaela both can talk a ear off of someone's head.
So, and, you know, if you have any other questions outside of times that we're doing the lives, don't hesitate to either message us on social media, go to our website. It has our email address on there. Our Facebook account has my email address on there. Anything I can do to help you guys out, don't hesitate to ask those questions, because I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we were starting, and we didn't know any of this either. So,
Well,
I mean, I grew up around horses. I didn't know anything about cows other than I like cheeseburgers, you know, before we got them. So,
I mean, there really wasn't anybody around our area to ask about this specific breed,
right,
or anything to really be about cows in general. So
Right.
that's all we did. We researched. Well, Tony, I should say, he researches about everything.
yeah.
Everything.
Well, I mean, it all takes money, and if you're going to spend money, you need to know what you get yourself into. So,
Or otherwise, you could be really broke.
Right.
Ta-da.
what did she say?
Great video and lots of information.
Yep. What time are we at now? Oh, it's 8 o'clock, isn't it?
I brought my ribbon.
Oh, yep. See, there's your ribbon there.
Yep.
So, alright, you can put it up. Alright, well, we're about an hour into it. If nobody else has any questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up, and then we will post here shortly when our one for June will be. Normally we try to have it around like a ballpark of like that 19th, 20th time frame, you know, whatever that weekend ends up being. But now we gotta kind of see how that's going to work out, since we're running 2 farmers markets this year. We're due one on Saturday and one on Sunday, so we'll have to kind of see what day we can make those.
And we got more babies
Yeah.
being born in June.
Michaela's goat is due in that ballpark range of June 4th. So we'll have more goat kids to talk about the next go around. Like I said, look out this week for our upcoming video on our breeding pair, our Idaho pasture piglets that we'll be getting. So they're coming as piglets, so they will be, I think we were told, between 20 and 30 pounds. So
They said, when will you sell your nukes?
when will we sell our nukes? We actually, due to this crazy weather, we had already planned on having nukes made and grafting and all of that going on.
And then we got hit with that
And
snow.
then we got hit with snow, so that set us back. And then I got hit with working overtime. I did 3 48-hour shifts back to back with less than 24 hours off between each one. So then now we're playing catch up. And
And it's not very fun.
when we found all the swarm cells in there, that kind of captured most of our equipment. So as of today, we have the 37 colonies out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have, what? I think we have 3 10-frame boxes left right now. So I don't even have enough to put a second deep box on all of the splits that we have out there right now. And actually we only have 1 colony out there in a 5-frame nuke right now, right?
Well, yeah.
Or 2.
No, there's one.
There's 1, yeah.
But
So-
and usually how it went last year, where some of the ones that we split and put on skids that has like the 2 hives, they ended up, whether the queen went out on her mating flight and never came back.
Yeah.
So we had to fill in some of the ones that we had
Right.
on the skids into the empty,
Right.
or the ones that were going to die out anyways without replacing that queen.
Yep.
So it all worked out
Right.
for us, I
Otherwise,
guess.
yeah.
But we couldn't sell any of the ones that we had
Right.
planned on selling. So
No, because otherwise, our plan was to have had them available with a laying queen in it by Memorial Day. So now I'm at the point. Well, tomorrow will tell us more about where we're at with that. I'm not to my goal yet of where the amount of bees that I want here, but Brittany is past her goal. So
until things slow down.
yeah, so we are.
But Tony doesn't know how to slow down. He just keeps on adding work.
We're kind of in that. We're gonna take that to a board meeting stage.
One that I'm not going to attend.
So,
No, I'm just kidding.
no, we. I know that we're moving towards. At some point, we will figure out what
What number we would be
number
comfortable
would
with.
be comfortable for us to do with me still working.
But that may change if we would happen
Yeah.
to get a bigger property, then more bees
where-
can get on it.
But the other side of it is I'm looking at ways to be able to replace my salary if need be at some point. My line of work, really, I'm one injury away from being unemployed. So I have to look at that and make sure that started our third year.
Yay.
And we have actually been able to recoup quite a bit of the cost, to the point, if I looked at the books enough, the B side of it alone, I think we're doing okay, because we're using that side of it to offset the cost of other stuff that we're building at this point. Because you know, these pigs that we're going to get, they're not
I don't know what that is.
purchasing anything right now, so
We're buffering.
means the internet speed slowed down on us. So,
Okay.
all right, well, we're gonna wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for spending time with us. Hopefully everybody had fun, got some questions answered, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good day.